Now, President Bola Tinubu's administration continues to pursue a broad poverty reduction strategy focused on expanding social safety nets, stimulating grassroots economic growth, and improving household welfare across Nigeria. Central to this effort is the Renewed Hope Ward Development Program, which targets all 8,809 wards in the country with livelihood support, local infrastructure and services aimed at reducing poverty at the community level. Under this national framework, the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, led by Minister Dr. Doro, is implementing targeted programs funded in the 2026 federal budget to empower vulnerable Nigerians. Now, the ministry has earmarked over 23.5 billion naira for initiatives including youth empowerment, economic training for women and young people, medical outreach, and asset-based support to help beneficiaries become self-reliant.
Well, joining us live today on Daybreak is the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Dr. Doro. Thank you for joining us live on Daybreak. Yeah. Now, this interview comes as the World Bank released a very disturbing statistics of about 140 million Nigerians living below poverty line. This must have sent some shock waves to you, isn't it?
Sure. So, measurement of poverty can be done several ways, and the World Bank does use monetary, measurement, but there are other measurements of poverty, which takes the form of multi-dimensional approach. Yes, any statistics that places many Nigerians in poverty is obviously worrying, and our desire is to ensure that we tackle that head on.
All right. Well, in the area of cash transfers and social register, how are you fixing complaints that are coming about due to delayed cash transfers?
Delayed cash transfers is something that has not really been, does not come to my table as much, because in that the cash transfer, what the government, based on the directive of Mr. President, is to ensure that the register is validated. The National Social Register is validated using the National Identification Number. So what we have been doing is to ensure that we use the NIN to validate those individuals that are already in the register. And for those of them who don't have the NIN, we have to enroll them. And for those who had the NIN, this has not really been aligned with the social register. We do a harvesting to ensure that they are sort of validated. So any delays will come as a result of that validation process, and not the fact that cash is not there to back it up.
Okay, but because of those cash transfers, can you give a bit of clarity about how the cash transfers are actually done, how people are chosen to be eligible for these, and how it is is there a procedure for it?
Yes, definitely. So we have the National Social Register. The National Social Register, it's made up of all the states' registers. So the actual collection of data is at the state level, and how this is compiled involves the community and also geographical location. So you identify the most vulnerable area to start with, because what you're trying to do is to capture the poorest of the poor, because you're looking at this and you ensure that you meet the needs of those at the bottom ladder of the economy first, and so you go to communities. You have a set of questions, set of criteria that someone has to meet to be able to identify as the most vulnerable. So the community is involved. What the community does is the enumerators do is to sit with the communities, and communities know exactly who is poor amongst them. Based on a set of criteria, discussing with the community, you're able to identify the poorest of the poor. And then you enlist them. But you don't only stop there. You also have a process to validate that the information that has been collected is actually the right information. So things around their details, you after identifying them, you look at the nature of their housing situation, and what things they have in their homes. Tells you if somebody was to have a car, for example, in the house, you know that they're not among the poorest of the poor.
Okay, now the country has passed through some very severe conflict and violent situation, and in extreme cases, natural disasters that have left the nation with surging to 3.7 million displaced people. Is the country now at the brink of a humanitarian crisis, considering the potential security threats that comes with this?
Drivers of displacement, yes, involve crisis, but there are other reasons why people are displaced. For example, climate-related issues and structural vulnerabilities, and what have you.
So what's the response plan to this menace?
Right, so we have what is called the Humanitarian Needs and Response Plan for 2026, which the government, under the Renewed Hope Agenda, have co-authored with the United Nations. And so that is where our plan is. And when you look at that plan for 2026, about 5.9 Nigerians have been identified, which is an estimate anyway, likely to be in a crisis situation. And this is just within the Bay States of Borno, Adama, and Yobe. And about 2.5 of this number is targeted, requires critical assistance. But I know that your question had to do with the IDP figures, right? The 3.7 also is
which could even exceed the possibility of it exceeding the IDP figures is there. So what do you think?
No. So these are two different things. Okay, so you have the IDP figures, which is estimated at 3.7 million people living in IDP camps at the moment. And like I said, it's an estimated figure, and this is across the country. And so we have continued to then prioritize their dignity. We have continued to prioritize livelihoods and offer humanitarian assistance. And our desire is to graduate these people from where they are. We resettle them and also have a plan to graduate them out of poverty.
So I'm glad you speak about the plan to graduate them out of poverty. What is the exit plan, the exit strategy for these beneficiaries?
So we have continued to reform the process since taking office. So exit plan. So you look at a situation whereby there's a crisis, which then triggers the need for humanitarian assistance. You create resilience. Once you create resilience, what you're trying to do is to ensure that you do a need assessment to find out where gaps are, and you make sure that these individuals are trained, equipped, and you make sure that they are provided with assets that will help them to start some form of economic activities as well. You make sure that you provide them with a bit of coaching, mentoring, and help them towards economic resilience and activity.
Have these initiatives begun already?
Yes, we have reformed the process, and we are in the process of starting this full-fledged.
Okay, now let's turn our radar on the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry. Your ministry seems to have swung into a spending splurge recently, with reports of about 507 million on new SUV Land Cruisers, and we also have about 263 million naira for the renovation of the minister's office. Could you confirm this and explain why this is expedient in a polity that desperately cries for intervention and the bailout out of poverty?
When exactly?
Deep poverty.
When exactly is this these expenditures?
Is that?
When exactly are these expenditures?
No, you have to respond to that because the report is in public space.
Yeah.
So and it's worrisome that a ministry saddled to fight poverty is in that kind of spending spree. Perhaps you would want to explain.
Yeah, so you're talking about in the past or recently? Because statistic has to be back. If you pull out a figure, let me understand when those expenses were. As far as I'm concerned, taking over from November last year, I have not come across those. Yes, we recognize that there might have been things in the past, but as I'm talking to you, we have not bought a single vehicle, and we have not spent.
So are you closing your eyes to past to clearing some of the possible mess in your ministry?
And that is why I'm here. My reason. My being here is to ensure that there's accountability in the process and that we utilize whatever fund that is provided to us for the good of Nigerians. As far as I know, yes, there could have been things in the past, and that is what we're trying to do.
Are you saying this particular report has not been brought to your notice?
No, so there has been things in the ministry in the past, but not of recent. And I took over from my predecessor, the current national chairman of the APC. And as far as I know, all throughout his tenure, the ministry has been stable. There's not been any financial issues raised.
Okay.
And we have continued to build on what my predecessor, where he left.
Still speaking about finances, how much has been released for these poverty programs so far?
Yes, I don't really like discussing exact figures. We all know that finances. For me, I love to have to have money to be able to do my work. But speaking on specifics can be a little bit challenging. But what I can tell you that working alongside our development partners, we're doing our best to be able to ensure that our programs are funded.
Can you at least give us something a little bit more specific? If you're not going to give the exact amounts, can you give us some details at least that can guide and shed some light into the scale of the type of poverty programs that are being run, especially as Benga mentioned, when there's so much scrutiny, so much, looking into the details of what exactly is going on? Is there diversion of funds? I think people deserve to know the answers to what exactly is going on.
Yeah, so if there are specifics, we can address specifics, but if questions are very broad, it becomes very difficult to be able to,
so maybe I can
explain any specifics. So regarding the budget for the Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction Ministry is there. It's an open document, and I think while you were reading the opening remark, you did actually mention that the budget for this year stands at about over 23 billion. So that is a public document that is out there for everyone to see. So currently, like I said, funding for the ministry come from different sources, and we continue to work with our development partners to ensure that we provide humanitarian assistance unto those in need, and also to pay our way through our poverty reduction program, which has a very clear graduation pathway.
Okay, let's look at that because you talked about specifics now. Let's look at the global scale back on the World Food Program,
yes,
which is being reported to be affecting about over 300,000 children in the north and some other part of the country too. Yeah. How is the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry bridging this gap?
Okay, so recently I think that would be a week and a half ago, I was in Borno to flag up distribution for support of in support of nutrition to especially children under 5. Now, yes, it is correct that the World Food Program did scale back on what they do in Nigeria in terms of support for food and nutrition. And the federal government, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, graciously, approve funds for us to buy needed food and medication to supply to these places. And currently we are supplying nutrition support and needed medicinal products to 10 states of the north. So far we have done Borno, we have done Sokoto, and we have done Kebbi. We have 7 more states to go on, and the distribution will continue through the week.
Okay. Now, you spoke about having various donors and, players when it comes to where you get your funding from. How far are we away from, pulling out from this donor reliance and being able to stand alone and take care of the in-house problems, especially where poverty is related with humanitarian situations in the country? How far are we away from being independent of this donor funding?
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, if you read the 2026 Humanitarian Needs and Response Plan
assessment,
yes, you see clearly there that it is a document that, and especially in my forward, I did make that very, very clear. The ministry co-authored this document, and the reason for that is because I feel that there is need for national leadership. And one of the ways that we wanted to own that document was to make sure that we have our input clearly in that document. And so because you will agree with me that the international space in terms of support with funds is shrinking. And because it's shrinking, it is our desire to care for our people, and we are taking national leadership in humanitarian intervention and poverty alleviation, and not dependent on donor funding.
Okay, now recently we saw the president moving the school feeding program to education ministry, and for me, I find that a kind of epiphany on some sorts, because I think it's better to have a deeper sympathy for ignorance than poverty. So, are you doing anything in terms of, because someone will say what the humanitarian ministry is doing is just to provide fish and not teach people how to fish. Are you doing something in line with job skills acquisition and job creation for the vulnerable?
Okay, regarding the homegrown school feeding program is still under my ministry, so I'm not aware of that directive, unless if you remind me exactly maybe when that was done. But I know that that program is still domiciled under INSIPA, which is an agency within my ministry. So regarding the whole architecture, so look, on taking over, I realized that there's need for more coordination. There's need in terms of our various programs, and I've come out with a reform under my one response strategy. I call it one humanitarian, one poverty alleviation, poverty reduction system, and this is aimed at unifying our approach to delivering humanitarian intervention and also poverty reduction. So this is a very clear, thought out framework where it's actually linked to a graduation framework, because we don't want to just give people, as you said, give people just a fish. We want to teach people how to then do this. So our approach is to ensure that we're able to provide these needed skills and mentorship and also the asset that is required for this individual to graduate out of poverty.
Okay. Now, as beautiful and wonderful as that sounds, if the numbers do not improve, who takes responsibility?
Obviously, as the minister in charge of humanitarian affairs and poverty reduction, the president has given me a mandate, and it is my job to deliver. And as a result, we want to take it on and to ensure that we put a dent and we on our poverty index.
So just to wrap up, what's the assurance you're giving to Nigerians that these numbers will go down, because it's very scary and it presents a potential security risk?
So just again to put things into context, poverty in Nigeria is multidimensional. Okay, so the assurance I can give to Nigeria is that myself and other line ministries are working together to ensure that we approach or we attack this head on in a multi-dimensional way.
Okay, it's on that promising note that we inevitably have to end this very beautiful and insightful segment from the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian and Poverty Reduction, Dr. Bernard Moro. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on this daybreak. We don't take this for granted.
Absolutely.
Defying your early morning routine. And that's all we have time for here on Daybreak. I'm Benga Ashiru. It's goodbye from me.
And I'm Yolanda Robert. Please do keep it here on Arise News. The morning show is next. Bye-bye.